See, the problem I have with mental health, the way it is right now is that people go a long time without getting the help that they need. They surround themselves with people that condition them to think that their behavior is okay. They get around these people and have these habits so go on for so long that they don't take any accountability when somebody that's not with the program comes in, sees that there's something wrong, they attack that person. They get their whole hive to attack that person. And then want to gaslight that person into thinking that there's something wrong with them. See, I'm just getting into the depths of some of this bipolar. Then you have depression, then you have bipolar, and then you have schizophrenia. And there's too many times where I've seen people overuse, misuse a substance to pacify what they're doing mentally to cope with the things that don't work. Now, I have to remember myself that people know what they're doing. People are very conscious of the things that they do, and a lot of them, I would go with that, know right from wrong, and I'm saying that from like an innocent person's point of view that don't have no kind of understanding of this. They have a concept, but it's like they playing you to make you not know it, and it's all projections, and it's all illusions, and it's all delusions of a sick mind. So we as a people have to, and I say it for me, I put out things that I feel are helpful to the community to address and at least acknowledge these things are a problem, because these things have affected me in my life so long that I'm not going to be one of those people that are just okay with a particular behavior that I know is wrong. If somebody is wrong, they're wrong. I'm not going to coddle them, and I don't care how old they are, make them feel cutesy and cool and accepted by doing wrong things. The first thing wrong is a red flag. The first inconsiderate, like you see somebody doing something wrong to the waiter, treating the waiter wrong, that's a red flag. You don't have to entertain that. Move forward. It gets to a point where you really have to make a stand about things and people in your life that do not serve a higher vibration. There are times that I want my vibration so high, I want my forces impenetrable, because there's a lot of mental attacks. You got a lot of people with a lot of that are going around undiagnosed and untreated on a lot of on an array of mental issues. And it's in the later generations now that there's even more things to be aware of because of attention spans and social media and influence, and you just got a lot of outside, like a lot of influences, distractions that keep people from being more aware of themselves, aware, because you can go back to a kindergarten classroom and see how to treat people. You share, you're kind, you try it out, but you're okay again, and you don't take things too seriously, because tomorrow's a new day. We get to try it again. And we gotten away from people that you come out here and think that the average person is there to care about you, and you really have to discern where you put your energy these days in people, because a lot of people are carrying demons and spirits and all kind of habits and things about them that is not healthy. Now, I have an ex, and I say this because I have an ex that has his own battles with mental illness. And that's why I say, in particular, the bipolar depression with schizophrenia. Because I've seen too many times, and it's not even just him, that there are people that once they start drinking or taking on another vice, they have another persona. They whole character change. And if somebody's been doing that for 10, 20, 30 years, it develops into another aspect of your character. And I'm not qualified to speak on that like a professional. I'm just saying that I'm aware as a friend that even that people try to function as normal, and they will go a long time without addressing their functionality. A functioning alcoholic, or people that you find out, got other vices or whatnot. And you try to put the brakes on it. Like, it's okay to drink a little, but you take it to the nth degree with your persona and all the stuff that you be doing when you get inebriated. And you try to tell somebody, but if you try to tell somebody so long that it becomes like dead on their conscience, that they don't have a consideration for others, and they rather just do those things that they know is not healthy for themselves, not healthy for you, then you just really have to put a distance. No matter how much you care about somebody, if they're not willing to get the right mental health, and they're not ready to get that, be accepting, and like, the 12 steps, the first thing you got to do is admit you even have a problem. And a lot of people don't want to admit that, and they think that shields them from the reality of the problem. And if you hang around a lot of enablers, it could. But the reality is that it burns through your pockets, it deteriorates your mind, it deteriorates your heart, and then you lose valuable connections of people that, had you been honest or forthright with your healing, you would have been able to maintain those relationships. But because you don't go within, and you keep looking for all this attention, outside validation, and things that fuel your ego and make you into this persona, it doesn't matter how many masks you wear, eventually they all gonna fall off. I say that to say I know my mother, who has, she's the founder for my life of narcissistic abuse in families. And even now I'm still trying to render some of her effects off of my children, because of how they were raised with her in the household like that. And the influence was so strong that they have a lot. Well, my children tend to have some selfish habits that I'm trying to assist them in breaking, because they have to know what respect is in order to earn it. And they have to know that these characteristics that my narcissistic mother, their narcissistic grandmother, put into them, on how they think that there's an expectation on what I'm gonna do versus what I'm not. I'm not her. I'm not gonna wipe your ass for you and pay your bills and all that. I gave you a lot of resource and help and education and support for you to be able to stand on your own and be the independent person that you are. Now, me, yes, I attracted more narcissists because of my narcissistic mother. But even with those narcissists, there's still a point where it's like, no, we cannot go any further, because it's detriment to my own healing that I acknowledge what narcissism is, what gaslighting and love bombing tactics are, and be able to steer clear from those maneuvers that I see that manipulative people use in order to get what they want. Now, because I'm not a manipulative person, yeah, you kind of see the red flags. And a lot of times, these guys will say they'll study you and get all the information they need to play the mind games that they do with you, and have people involved and invested casting, well, we now know by the Bible, gossip is witchcraft. But if your name is being said in rooms that you're not in by people you don't even know, and nobody has the forthright to bring those conversations to your attention, that's all witchcraft. That's all black magic. Especially, particularly if they're not for your best interest, for your betterment, for your consciousness. You know what I'm saying? It's not proving you to a higher vibration or your best, because if for these people to do that, there has to be a level of jealousy and envy that brought your name to that place, or those rooms to begin with. And people are real crafty, because they'll try to make it and project their issues on you and say you the problem. And then after all this love bombing, you ain't going through the hoops and stuff no more to keep their love satisfied. Then it's like they have the right to tell you that you're this, that, and the third, and you cause some damage to them in order for them to play victim and be the manipulative people that they are. I like doing Grace's Oasis episodes because it allows me to have a fluid conversation with my healing. It allows me to take different creative ways to incorporate healing in everyday moments that maybe I need a gentle reminder of while I'm going through. A lot of this is just my processing so that I'm able to get my thoughts out, say how I feel. I didn't want to necessarily always be on camera, but I wanted to be able to say what was real in an inauthentic world, because it's really how you feel about yourself, and if you're allowing people in your life to bring out the best in you, and that is the most important thing. If anything from all of these videos that I put together, it's really about you doing and finding the best in yourself so that you can find your own inner wealth. You can find your own inner peace. And you don't have to ask anybody's opinion and okays about it, because a lot of people are going through a lot of issues and a lot of illness that they will not be honest about. And we talk about mental illness as much as we have to warn and guard and safeguard ourselves about STDs. Now, I personally have abstained from having any kind of intimacy, because I feel like in my healing, I need to be focused on myself. Nobody else is going to understand what I need to heal but me and God. And so that I'm not out here toxifying anybody else's environments with what I got to heal through, I'd rather just take that time for myself. And I had to make a video, you might see in my playlist, about actually saying to people like, look, hey, I gave y'all my time. Now that I'm focused on something, I see a lot of pick-me-shas and dusties out here that want my energy and my time and attention. And if I'm focused on something for myself, my children are occupied, my mother is good, I don't owe the outside world any explanation on how I chose to get my bag. But there's a lot of people that somewhat are getting still in my energy, getting out of my energy, that have no business being in my energy, that I'm healing away from, and they feel it, and they're trying to grab it, they're trying to magnetize me back into having this. But the last thing I had to tell my ex, because then it's like, as soon as I do well on some of my videos here, he pops up, and I see that I get these weird notifications in my phone on certain pages, and I'm just like, it gets a little annoying that you're so unhealed that you're getting, like, you've been at stalker level. I've had to go to your people and been like, if he's so uncomfortable and he don't like me, why does he keep harassing me? Because he's obsessed and he can't let it go. And that's why I keep going into this mental health and wellness, because if there's one message that I have to tell anybody, is really get to know. There's an unfortunate story that's going on right now about, my big heroes is the Queen Maker, Candace Owens, Shera 7, and I got a few others that are my honorable mentions. But right now, those are my females that are leading my and Pink Book lessons, of course. So there's a couple boss ladies. There's a couple of them. Pink Boss. There's a couple of ladies that have been really inspiring me on my journey, and it's like I listen to Shera, and I have a whole thing about relationships too, because as I'm wanting better for myself, and it's not necessarily really trying to bag a guy or really actively dating like that. Like I'm not like the poor woman Isis that had that unfortunate situation happen to her. Um, you really gotta pick better. And the situation with Isis, if you didn't know, is that she was listening to Shira Seven's advice on how to get a, a high value quote unquote man, and she went ahead and got this guy she found off of eHarmony and married him in the week because they so in love and all this, and he turned out to be molesting his own children. She got her own kids. She come in, he molesting his own kids. So it's a lot, out here when you trying to do right for yourself. And then she wanted to say that, she listened to her advice and that's what. But Shira don't say all that. And really, it's like if people just see the red flags for the people that they try to have in their life and in their space, they'd be a little bit more safer. You know what I'm saying? Because maybe that was just her calling to be there for them kids to have a say, because that's what their father was doing to them. I mean, there's a lot of there's a lot of ways that you could look at that God had to intervene in that situation, otherwise wouldn't have been known. And there's a lot of still as we wrap up 2025 or 2024, excuse me, that there's and going into 2025, that there's a lot of stuff still wrapping up in this karma and this justice at the end of the year, tail end, that people are still gonna have to just deal with, and people are just gonna have to face. And since it really is on a notion where I'm protecting my peace, I'm kind, I got love for people, but I must protect my square. Now I see the name of the game is protect your square. Your purpose on this planet is to not only protect your square, but try to show other people how to protect theirs a little bit better, especially when you can see their defense is flawed. Now, you don't have to have people. Now, our problem sometimes as women and as nurturers, is that or in the feminine aspect, however you want to take that, is that in that nature, we get in the wanting to help somebody, and I had to learn out of that too, because of my narcissistic parental upbringing. I'm thinking that, oh, there's people just like me like this that's in bad situations, just had a bad hand, and it turned out these people are really master manipulators, trying to make it seem like they're not who they appear to be, and they turn out to be just like her. And it's like I got tired of still attracting. Why am I keep on attracting? I keep on attracting. And I said, well, let me go and dig a little deeper. And let me go a little harder on this shadow work, because I'm really tired of this. And giving my all and not being appreciated and not feeling like I'm worth anything because you don't think so. How dare I put myself on that kind of position? I'm not in no right to tell somebody how to think. If you don't like me, I can leave. You don't want to help me, I can go. You got your own prerogative. You doing your own thing. That's fine. And it's not even accepting that men cheat or nothing like that. It's just that you have to understand that what's healthy and what's not. And coming out of a lot of generational curses where, I got a grandmother that's tolerant of abusive behavior, and the family going along with sexual abuse all rampant in my family. And it's just, and then people come in, and more people are attracted because of these people to the same things. Now, how do we have new people doing the same stuff that these people are doing? And you trying to get away from that. People you bringing in are just like these people, and they doing the same things as these people, and you trying to get away from that. And so, like I say, like these people, narcissists especially in particular, they have these, that's why we say leeches, roaches, these covens, these cults that just are a hive of breeding the same type of the same low vibration The same demonic type of people, spirits, energies. And in spiritual warfare, that's what you up against. Because the person, but you can't act like people are just that absent-minded. They don't know what they're doing. And that's one of my flaws. I can't sit here and act like people don't really know, like people are really not that conscious. Because that's an assumption on my part. I have to know that when I see something, that's deliberate because you're an adult. And if that's in a deliberate action to where you got buddy to me to get something from me just so that you can show me how competitive and how jealous you are and envious of me you are, then that's more than enough reason for me to stay away. That's more than enough reason for me to know my place in your life and get the hell out of it. I don't need to be going and taking myself through all kinds of rigmarole to try to go through hoops for you and your life and your security when you're not going to do that and validate mine. This is reciprocity. And that's how you can tell if it's really 100 or not. And that's all Shera is trying to teach people is just to, ask for what you want up front. Tell people up front what you want so that you can get what you want. If you don't see that you're getting what you want, move on until you find somebody that's accommodating. But do it in a way that provides self-respect, provides your safety for you and especially your children. And do it within a time limit that makes you feel like, we're earning something. We're really diving in at least a year. And people so impatient and trying to do this and do that. You can't sit down 5 minutes and say that part of your problem is yourself and say that's not up to somebody else to have to deal with. Modern day slavery is in the mind. And people enslave each other with their concepts. It's all in this means of control. And that's why, I said, I like doing these Graces Oasis episodes because a lot of times I have a formulated pattern script of how I want each episode to go. But today I just wanted to touch on some things because I found it really disturbing that past full moon, there's been some energies up in my energy that I don't appreciate being there. And I'm really doing my best to try to put, some sense behind some of these things that I see. Because it's not just coincidence and happenstance. We're doing this because we're getting somewhere. We're gaining momentum. We're going places. And there's some people that are really upset that they have to be left behind. But that's their business. And you can't stop that. There's nothing that you can emotionally do for anybody that's really trying to be on whatever they got going on. And you on your lane and your business, and they want to come over in your lane to step on your toes and smile in your face and piss on you and say that it's raining. Like, you don't have time to be in nobody playing with nobody's energy. That's why I said I just don't want to be left alone until I get where I want to be. And really, I'm willing to sit with myself on hurt days. At least I know I'm bringing myself up out of it with the Lord. At least I know I'm being guided into something better with my faith. And every time I get back up, I'm doing something better with myself. I'm not going in the past digging on you did this. I'm looking at the problems head on and I know what the source is and I say this is the problem. We gonna do it like this. I'm not saying that we gonna do all the gusto because you can only do as much as you can healing for yourself. Other people have to take up their own torches and heal themselves too. And you have to put some firm boundaries up to say, well, if I know that you got some unmedicated issues, then I need to stay away from you. And I'm not going to trust you with real critical decisions. I know your capabilities. I know what you can't handle. Maybe you good at something. Maybe, this, that, and the third. But there's no reason at this stage in the game to assume of other people that they're going to do anything for you. They're going to do anything to love you or be right by you. And that's why the Lord is a standard. That's why at least if you can be conscious and show the acts of the Lord, at least we can get somewhere. At least that we could get that far. But you can still know the Bible and still be a heathen all day. We really pretty much figured that out this year. Well, all our lives, really. But highlighted asterisk 2024. Because if you were hiding behind trying to play like your mask is all this humble and innocent and all this. You the first one that we find out is the biggest snake of them all. So, we all passed, faces and masks and all that. It's really about just trying to get to the authentic people that are really trying to elevate themselves and stop wasting time on people that don't. Because now I got a stalker for life. I mean, this dude ain't going nowhere. It's like, I'm going to say it like that in the energy, because I'm going to block my number, do everything, and know that he still want to knock on my door and say something. Even if it is derogatory, it's just something to get her attention, And that's the depravity of what we're dealing with in the world today. And I use that as an example of why I keep pushing forward and not stop until I get what I want. Now, I'm not settling for, oh, this looks nice, well, let's just do that. No, he's got to be coming on the same frequency as I am. And I'll know, because at this point, God gave me the wisdom to know what's Christ-centered. And I want more of that. I don't want to be, it's not like I was ever in the clubs or in the streets or anything like that. I don't want, it can't even come out my mouth. I was a victim of narcissistic abuse. I was a victim of cancer, to be a survivor of it. I mean, it just sounds so, and I went through that, and that was my identity for a while, and I'm not comfortable with it to this day. So that's why I just really feel like, I wanna, like I say, I'm gonna keep going deeper with my healing, but I know I can't save everybody, and I know that I have a responsibility for the information that I've gotten to produce something that's gonna help maybe somebody else. Don't go to the extreme. Like, take some notes. I got some great notes that I'm gonna share with y'all when I get my next scripts together. Great programs for y'all for the relationship side. If he gossips about you, he doesn't like you. It's a lot of things that yes, Queen Shera 7 did say, that just internalizing it, what it means, and because I'm healing by the chakras, and right now I'm like my gut, my sacral chakra, my root chakra, and my heart chakra need to be healed now. And that's what I'm focusing on. I'm focusing on loving me to overpour, exactly, spiritual birth. Love me to my overflow. You know what I'm saying? Cup runneth over. And it's not selfishness, and it's not pride. It's just the fact that I'm watering my own garden, and I'm taking care of myself in a way that nobody else has or could have the capacity to take care of me, And that's not to say that God's not going to bless me with somebody that is now that we're on the right path, but as the moment, I just want to enjoy this moment of being with me before I get to the rest of my life. I want to love on me a little bit, because I know that there's a lot of good things about to happen with this project, Grace's Oasis. So I didn't want to feel, and I wanted to say that out loud to myself. I didn't want to feel burdened by the things that I've seen since I was just dancing on Saturday, and things just took a turn for the worse. And since I've been trying to get back on my footing about why I appreciate my own personal values, why I appreciate, even if nobody else does, then that's fine. I know my accomplishments. I know what I've been through. And I'm my biggest cheerleader. I got billions of cells in me rooting for me every day to keep growing and going. No matter how I feel, there's plenty of things in my aura and my being and my consciousness and my subconsciousness of my whole essence, you know what I'm saying, that pushes me forward through every adversity. There's nothing that's going to stop me. There's nothing in my way, literally. They're just illusions. There is no spoon. But if I go like this, then I see it go like that. So I'm like, I'm aware of consciousness. Things are conscious. but it's all because we're a part of one consciousness. Now, how I shape that in my healing and get rid of the fear and the anxiety and the maybe even restlessness sometimes of manifesting, you know. So that's where I'm at, and I'm glad that I have this moment to just take it all in and just know that that's really why I'm processing the way I am right now, because it's like I really want to get this, Lord. And I'm glad that you're sitting with me in this time to not only guide my children, my grown children that are experiencing independence. I say it for both of them because even, I have two of them, but they're both living their own different lives. But I say the whole for the legacy of what I was trying to provide for them and their younger siblings. So, these lessons keep reappearing because I have to heal a lot from being raised in a narcissistic environment, um, from toxic and mentally ill people, um, and physically and mentally abused and abusive people. So we just want to make sure that we're on the right track of healing. We want to make sure that we're keeping God centered in our healing, so that when we heal and we put the salve on and the band-aid, God kisses it and make sure it'll heal correctly, and we don't ever have to cross that and go through that again because we learned our lesson. And that's the only silver lining that I have. Because who wants to keep growing through the same revolving door when you know that you're not of it? God probably sent you into some of these, and that's the lining that I'm talking about, the silver lining, where it's like God sent you into some dark places just so He can be present in them. Because without you, He's there, but the light wasn't there. It's too low vibrational for God to be there, so He had to send you. And maybe that's why I accept people in all walks of life, because God knows what people had to go through to be who they are, or get through the situations that they have, the real trying ones. And God knows where you've been to put you in certain situations to bring you out of them. And that's the power I'll be talking about. That's the power I'm after now. And that's why I have to keep telling people the truth and shaming the devil, because ain't no way that you're going to sit here and think that you're being normal when I can clearly see the demon biting you on your back and on the top of your head right now. And you're telling me you're okay. Well, that's why I have to be less assumptive and assume, as long as you're okay, I'm just checking on you, because people say, how you doing? Like, it's just like an automatic response. And that's why AI is able to take over the way it does on some of these things, because we so simplistic in the platform. We have no depth as humanity. We go depth, we hurt. Why is that? And I, for one, don't want to be defined by my pain. How are you doing today? I am ecstatic because the sun is shining and it smells so good to just be alive. Really pour into it. Be authentic about it. If you're having a grumpy day and the sun is shining, then you have to be the responsible one to not. But like I said, there's a lot of people that are so hooked on their own behavior, they're not going to stop themselves from doing wrong. That's why you have to have boundaries. And look at me, Mom. I'm 41, just learning how to say, you got to back up and give me some space. Because now I see that I'm not warranted, and you're not entitled to be in my square. I don't owe you to be in my square. This is my square. I got a set of twins I made myself that I know might have come in this world together, but they're not going to have the same ending together. And even still, it's still, they were still born in two separate placentas. Now, I get that there's some twins that were born the same, but my twins were not in this analogy. So I'm honoring the fact that you know, we're here to protect ourselves. Like, once you get an understand, like, people will really manipulate you and gaslight you into thinking that their means of manipulation and control are what's best for you. Oh, really? Let me help you with that. You can't possibly do that yourself. I can help you. As long as I get some of the credit. And if I can swindle my way into getting some more out of you, sure, perks and bonuses. I mean, I want to be compensated for my time, too. There are things in capitalism that made that stuff okay in the 80s. Capitalism enabled narcissism because it was just so easy to call people and scam them, preying on their weaknesses and their hardships and the downtrodden, just so you can close them sales. It's very disgusting, the products of what greed has labored. That being that my mother worked in Wall Street and everything, I kind of saw the fruit of the life like that of a Wall Street parent and their abundance and their constant abundance, to where it was like, if you don't work that job anymore from downsizing, do you still earn that ego? Do you keep the ego when you've changed jobs twice? Do you go throughout life like that, expecting people to uphold that ego that you once had, even though you supposed to be doing something else? Are you still a manipulator? You know, it's one of the longest videos I've made, but I'm gonna go ahead and upload this, and we can continue. But I just wanted to share my morning thoughts on what I'm praying about today for clarity, as always. Still working on the illustration part of my mini book, so I can get on to my big book. I'm trying to make a 3-part package for you. Brought to you by me, Jocelyn Grace, and Grace's Oasis. Derivative of Umbrella Asset Development. Now, I love being in business for myself, and like I said, digital products are really the way to go. Going into 2025, I'm really happy that I was able to take the time to go into dig deep and dive in to myself and find things that work for my growth and my betterment, that I was able to apply in a very, very quick way that produces a result I couldn't be more proud of. So, but I was really happy to share some of my thoughts. Yeah, I want to get this uh, 3-part pack together. Go on to YouTube, Graces_Oasis. Give me a like, subscribe. Give me a comment under this video, shout out, tell me hey, keep going or whatever. I hope you're enjoying yourself with all of my wonderful healing videos and getting back in touch with you with, what makes you gold, Stay gold, pony boy. If you ever read The Outsiders or watched it, old Matt Dillon classic. But, I really wanna thank everybody for listening today. And, I'm gonna be back in just a little bit. There's a couple of other videos that I wanted to share with you. Like I said, we were diving into Shera 7's relationship advice, but the first thing that we have to remember, like I said, is to remember and uh, keep your mental health forward. Don't just lead out on like everybody says, the stuff that you hear on the internet, and not take a real conscious, realistic approach to what it is you want to do. If you're trying to manifest something, you don't have to club hop and bar hop around to quote unquote find what you're looking for. Because a lot of times we get so invested in looking for something that we want in people, we forget to invest that time into ourselves. That's why Grace's Oasis is so important to me, because it reminds us to keep working on our shadows. You know, it's a balance between light and dark. That darkness doesn't, I mean, it does. As you elevate higher, that level of quote unquote darkness goes higher as well. So what would be the shadow in one realm is like the light in another, if that makes sense, because it's getting higher, because it's vibrating higher. It's like if you have a point, right, and in 2D, well, that's a whole nother thesis. But the point is that as you elevate in dimensions, you're upgrading both the light and the dark. You're transmuting the light and the dark together, which is why you have the great days and you have the bad days, and then you toss it up together, you put it all together, and then you step out on a new day with the good and the bad that you learned from yesterday, and then you get your good, and then you get your bad, and then you transmute that, you know as duality of both. That's why you have good days and bad days. But if we keep it at a high frequency, then it stays at a high frequency. And those good and bad days, well, they'll be defined a little different because our vibration is higher. Tune in if you need some prayers. Also, please tune in to my one of my favorite pastors, all the way from Perth, Western Australia, Robert Clancy. He was just in Houston, Texas, these past weeks doing a revival and fasting session, and I just love listening to his prayers. If you need continuous prayer, you know what I'm saying, there's a lot of topics that we might not even know to pray about, that God shows us. And Robert Clancy will really go really deep into those prayers and start calling things out if you're a spiritual person. Now, you might not be religious and things like that, but just to know what's being called out so you can put good in. Knowing is half the battle. And like I said, it's spiritual warfare. You're fighting not people but principalities. So you want to kind of be aware of what they are so that you know what it is you're fighting. So that when you see these things, entities and spirits attached to people, you can identify these patterns or behaviors, however you want to call them. But these spirits, these attachments, really have to be released in you and the other person if you want to consider yourself dating. Until then, focus on trying to get your mind together, because like I said, it's a very unfortunate situation that you're looking for something, think you got it, and it turns out to be a nightmare. That's really horrible, and I would hate to feel like that's typical, but because it's not. But we do have to take accountability and making sure, as sisters, as people, men and women, that we're all safe, because people that are really invested in that, then you can tell, are really the ones that you should be gravitating to. And that should be, I'd hate to say that some things need to be tested before you can truly say it, but that's just the way life is, isn't it? So know yourself, know your worth, and protect your square, biggest lesson. And I keep a lot of distance from people from yesterday, because, I don't want to be caught up in having debaticles with mentally ill people. And you have to take it seriously like that. It's not even about being in a relationship anymore. It's just the fact that I know that you're mentally unstable. And regardless if you acknowledge that or not, or you get help for it or not, I know what's best for me to stay away from that. And people get offended because how dare you call me out? And you're 30, 40, 50 years old, 60 years old sometimes, going through life without being, undiagnosed and untreated. You got to know what's going on in the world around you. And remember, too, 988 is a real number. You call it. If you need any kind of mental health crisis issues, there's people there that's able to help 24/7, 365. Some people, you might not want to admit that there's a problem, but you can call. You know, if you have an issue and talk it out with someone, 988 is a real number. In case you're in any crisis and people can't get to you and you need a mediator, you can always call 988. And I want help to be available for people that need it, because everybody doesn't want to be a part of the, like I said, the manipulation control game. So thank you so much for listening to me today, Jocelyn Grace. The best is always yet to come. Just take care of yourself. Protect your square. You know those boundaries. And we'll see each other next time. Okay. You take care.